Good evening and welcome to This Is The Day. My name is Sarah Otieno. We're live on Family TV, also live on Family Radio, where the music does the talking. Well, today we'll be looking at some of the things that are making headline across our country. And today we recorded 497 new coronavirus cases in the last 24 hours. We'll be looking at the reasons as to why the numbers are increasing and also what the Ministry of Health is saying about that. Well, also there is a story from one of the health facilities in Nairobi, and they were saying that they do not have PPEs. Remember, it's only a couple of days after a medical practitioner succumbed to COVID-19, and now these practitioners are calling on the government to do something lest the numbers of those practitioners being affected with COVID-19 increase. There's also another story, and this time it's from the Mitumba sector, and they want the government to put measures into place to make sure and enable them to import their bales and sell to the common mwananchi, because they say that sector has greatly been affected with the COVID-19 pandemic. Well, I also have some news for you who is looking for a job opportunity during this time. Where are we supposed to look, and how are we supposed to prepare our CVs, and even how are we supposed to carry out ourselves when we're going for that interview? That and much more is coming up in this hour of This Is The Day. Remember, the WhatsApp number that you can use and contact me from is 0786 316 316, SMS line 20316. Well, we talked about the Mitumba, and now the Mitumba traders in the country are now asking the government to put in place protocols to allow them resume importation of second-hand clothes as soon as possible. For now, they're saying their stocks are slowly depleting. Through the Mitumba Association of Kenya, the business operators have said that they are ready to follow any guidelines that the government will put in place to help curb the spread of coronavirus. This comes a week after the President Uhuru Kenyatta directed the lifting of the ban imposed to the trade by CS Betty Maina on April the 9th.
Watuharakishie, watuita tukae na wao, ama ile njia yote ambayo inafaa waitumie ili mtumba ikuje haraka.
As an industry that makes a substantial contribution to our economy in taxes and employment, we would like to assure the President of our commitment to ensure all traders and customers observe all protocols that will be announced to guide the conduct of the business and curb the spread of the COVID-19 virus.
Kuna kitu inaitangwa physical inspection ama inspection. That is one of the things that we'll continue doing. Fumigation at the country of origin. And we are also willing to do fumigation when the goods arrive here in Kenya, just to make sure that everybody remains safe.
Well, from that story, we derive our question of the day today. Do you think it's right for the ban of the importation of mitumbas to be lifted during this time, considering that most of these bales come from abroad countries, and especially from China? And I would also want to know, do you buy mitumba clothes yourself, and would you buy it right now that we have the pandemic with us? 0786 316 316, that is on WhatsApp, SMS line 20316. Well, let's go to other stories. And Pumwani Maternity Hospital was at a standstill yesterday and the better part of today. This is after nurses threatened to go on strike due to lack of personal protective equipment, that is the PPEs. This comes after 41 staff members tested positive for coronavirus, including 22 nurses who work in the facility. Further, the nurses complained about the lack of social distancing in the facility, saying the labor wards were full, yet the administration was not addressing the issue. Health Cabinet Secretary, however, rubbished these claims.
These things were secured. Why were they not secured with the number of staff that you have? Do you secure for one person? Protection starts with us. If you don't provide for your staff, how do you expect us to take care of Amala? Do you want us to run like other countries?
Currently, the government is talking about social distance.
But when you go to labor ward of Pumwani maternity, it's like it's a market. Currently, even in a market, there is social distance. But here in our labor ward, you'll find mothers sitting on the benches. They are laboring on the benches. Their mothers are sharing beds.
We have not received any information from the Nairobi management, the hospitals in Nairobi. That is the first time I have ever heard of anybody saying that there is a hospital in Nairobi that doesn't have PPEs. Even next door here has PPEs.
Well, the two sides of the coin there. We have the ministry rubbishing the claims, but we also have the health workers complaining that there are no PPEs and no social distancing is being practiced in Pumwani Maternity Hospital. Well, still on the matters of the healthcare workers, the Ministry of Health Director General Patrick Amoth said that a dedicated isolation center for staff has been set up concerning the issue of Pumwani Hospital. Dr. Amoth said the cases were reported after screening samples from 290 staff at the facility in a targeted testing exercise. He said none of those who tested positive had a pre-existing condition, and now the Nairobi Metropolis Service Health Director Josephine Kabiru, on the other hand, assured members of the public that Pumwani has not closed and wouldn't close due to the reported cases, but said the facility will scale down its services. Listen in.
And I've been assured that we have sufficient quantities of PPEs, personal protective equipment. Further, we have agreed that beginning today, we'll have an isolation center dedicated for staff of the hospital at the School of Nursing for those who may not meet the criteria for home-based isolation. So basically ours is a mission of support and also fact-finding to be able to see what is on the ground and to assure the public that we are doing everything possible, one, to stop further transmission of infection to the healthcare workers, but also the people who come to seek services here. So the hospital is safe. The staff who are working here are properly trained, and we'll continue to give them support in terms of capacity building, in terms of proper gear, in terms of infection prevention control measures.
All right. Well, Joseph from Kiserian, thank you so much for tuning in to This Is the Day. And you're saying on the topic, Mitumba personnel should be allowed to import their products. Yes, I purchase Mitumba, especially my cycling apparel. And you're saying right now the prices are too high. The salesperson have hiked prices due to the low supplies. And this is where our question came in from today. These traders are asking the government to step in and allow the importation of mitumbas from other countries. And I would like to know from you, do you think it's right, considering that most of these mitumba bales are from countries abroad, and especially from China, where COVID-19 was reported? Of course, the first case of COVID-19 was reported in that country. And also I would like to know, would you purchase mitumbas, especially during this time of the pandemic? That's the $1 million question today. SMS line 20316. Send in your responses and we'll get to air some of them. But we'll get to highlight this story. And right now, as the country confronts the rising cases of COVID-19, health workers are faced and are forced to confront stigma due to the regular contact with these patients of COVID-19. Miriam Juma Mambo, she's a nurse at an isolation center in Kilifi County, and she says it's a lonely job due to the isolation from family members and fear from those visiting the isolation center. Since June, she has been able to treat 8 patients, with the youngest being a 1.5-year-old girl. Listen to her story.
Wagonjwa wetu tunawapatia huduma inayohitajika kwa wakati unaofaa. Tumewahi kupeana ruhusa kwenda nyumbani wagonjwa 4, na saa hizi tuko na wagonjwa 4 na mtoto mmoja. Na kusema la haki, nilivyowaambia ninakuja kufanya katika isolation center, haikuwa rahisi kwao, kwa sababu wakiona kila siku katika matangazo vile huu ugonjwa uko unatishia. Sasa ilifikia pahali hata nilikuwa nitembelewe na wajukuu, lakini ilishinda, nikamwambia wasikuje kulingana na vile mimi saa hizi ninafanya kwa isolation na wao walikuwa ni wadogo, nikasema wasinifikie, wasije kwangu mpaka saa ile nitaona nimetoka katika hiyo department ndio baadaye waje, kwa sababu sikutaka hiyo exposure. Corona iko na ni jukumu letu, either tuimalize au tuisambaze ni sisi, lakini corona iko, wale hawajaiona basi wasitake kuiona kwa sababu si nzuri. Corona si nzuri, si kama yale maradhi mengine.
Well, her name is Miriam Juma and she works in an isolation center, and she says it's not an easy job. So let us just be vigilant. Finally saying, Sarah, mimi ni msee wa mitumba, pia I advocate for the ban to be lifted, but precautions should be in place. Thank you so much, Fanuel, for your response. You did not give me your name, but you're saying, hello, Sarah. Yes, this business ya mitumba should actually come back to how it used to boom. Right now, traders are having a very severe loss. Look at it this way. Gikomba in the morning, people destroyed their vibandas. And right now, that mitumba is one of their main source of income. It's only right for the government to look into this matter. Thank you so very much for your response. You can also share your response. Do you think it's high time that this ban be lifted, considering that these bales, these mitumbas, come from countries that have been affected with COVID-19? And would you purchase a cloth from the mitumba sector during this time? Well, earlier on, I told you about someone who will be advising us on how to make our applications, how to look for jobs during this time, and even cutting across your career life. And he will also be talking to us about where to look for these job opportunities. It could be a tiring job, but his name is Wycliffe Osoro, and he'll be shedding some light on how to do this. Listening. Well, thank you so much for joining us today, Mr. Osoro, and kindly give us some of the requirements that employers look for before calling someone for an interview.
Okay, great. Thanks for this opportunity, and I'll just be taking you through what I believe is important for candidates to look at before they make an application. So as employers, what is it that we're going to be looking at before we call a candidate for an interview? The first thing that I would say that we'll be looking at, of course, is your CV. So we put out the advert, and you are expected to apply and also have your CV. So we'll be looking at two things, the application letter and your CV. So your application letter needs to be precise and to the point. I think to just point out what are the things that need to be in the letter. The first thing is really expressing your interest for the position that we have advertised. The second thing is really giving a brief background of your education and professional qualifications. And then the third part I would say is you need to express what is your experience that is relevant to the position that you're applying for. And finally, what it is that you feel you will bring to the table for that particular role. On the CV, it's very important that, one, it is a neat-looking document, well-organized. And when I'm looking at it being well-organized, it needs to be in a chronological manner. So what you're doing from the current position that you are all the way to the past. So not in reverse order. I see some CVs where it is written the last job that someone did, probably if you're looking at from 2010 to 2020, they put the 2010 job first, so it gets a bit lost. So chronologically in reverse order.
Okay, so from the latest to the oldest, let's just put it.
Yes, exactly. So
all right.
that's what you need to do. The other thing that I'll be looking at in a CV is, of course, I do not expect CVs to be very wordy. I always say try as much as possible to maintain your CV to less than 3 pages. And 4 pages at a maximum. What are you looking at expressing in your CV? The jobs that you've held previously, if you've been working, and the achievements. So a lot of times I see people copy and paste job descriptions into CVs. That is not a CV, because the simple thing is that if someone else holds that job and copies and pastes the same job description, and you do that, how will I tell the difference between you and the other candidate? The difference comes in the achievements that the individual is able to express. Finally, indicate your educational qualifications. It's important if you have not completed something, say, for example, you're pursuing a master's degree or a bachelor's degree, that you clearly indicate that that is in progress and not just indicate it there, and yet you have not been able to achieve that particular qualification.
All right.
Referees are important if they are asked for by the employer. So if in the advert they ask for referees, you need to include that, and the referees that they've expressed, if it's your last manager, that you need to put in on that CV. So basically, a well-structured CV and a well-structured application letter puts your foot in the door. So you need to be short and precise. I always say that recruiters have a very short time to look at many applications. So the shorter you are in expressing what is required, the higher your chances of getting called for the interview.
All right, I like that. And there is this one part of the CV that most of us grew up knowing, where we include our age, our date of birth, and also our religion. Please talk to us about that.
Okay, I always say that personal biodata, I would avoid having it in the CV.
Yeah.
Your name is enough, and contact details. And contact details, by that I mean, please ensure that you have your email contact and phone contact on the CV, and also on the application letter. There are instances where these documents get printed, and then it becomes difficult for then people to get in touch with you if you did not include, because sometimes we assume I've sent it by email, but sometimes we assume that someone will be able to get back in touch with you by email. So in terms of personal details of ID number, date of birth, marital status, I always say it's better off for you to avoid having that on the CV, because also you do not want to have any prejudice against age in terms of your marital status. I think those are not important issues at the point at which you are applying for the job. So you're better off leaving them off your CV.
And what about personal social media pages? Do they also play a role when it comes to whether or not you can get a job opportunity?
Yes, I look at personal social media pages in two ways. So it's an opportunity for you to either sell yourself or have it becoming your career stopper.
Yeah.
So in terms of social media, it's important that you have social media pages that that sort of express who you are, but you want the information that is going out on your social media pages to be positive information. I always say pick a theme if you'd want your social media, and different social medias are used for different things. So if you'd want your social media pages to either focus on an interest that you have, say for example you're interested in cooking, your social media pages indicating that that's something that's good. If you're interested in and if it's on LinkedIn, there are particular articles you want to write, it's important to do that. If it's a family setup and sort of that you want to show maybe that some games that you're interested in, so there's a theme in terms of someone can be able to sort of profile you and know what it is that are your interests. One thing that I would want people to avoid on their social media pages is negativity. I always say you don't have to post and retweet or things that have been posted by others just to have them on your media pages, because in as much as they're not your opinion, the fact that you put them on your page sort of feels that you subscribe to what it is that is on that page. So try as much as possible to avoid negativity, because when organizations, there are specific organizations that would look and are very keen on their external presence, and they would not want to pick an employee who is going to come and damage their brand. So they'll be looking at that. And of course, when you're in those organizations, they have social media policies and guidelines on what it is that you can post and not post as their employee. So you just want to have your pages having a lot of positive information, and people can be able to pick up what interests you have in your social media pages.
All right, and maybe, you know, right now people are at home and maybe there's someone who's looking for a job. So where do we look for these jobs? Where are they found?
Okay, I think when you're looking for a job, there's very many places that you can find jobs. And there's the traditional newspaper adverts where you'll get any jobs advertised. That's one of the places. There are job sites that I would say are credible, that you can be able to get those applications. And how do you tell a credible job site? I think it's important. I'll not necessarily name names of credible job sites, but say what are the things that you would want to know about a credible job site. So sometimes look at the role that they've advertised and the organization. The thing that I always say is look at the bottom and say, where are you directing this application? Is that application being directed directly to the organization, or is it going to a third party? And if it's a third party, are you clear to see that they are actually allowed to act on behalf of the employer? So when you look at such information, also cross-check with the employer's page. So look at the employer's website and see, do they have such openings in their website? So a lot of times you'll find is job websites that sort of pull out jobs that have been posted in different employer websites to either drive traffic to their websites. It's important for you to just cross-check and see that does actually check out. Another thing that you need to be careful on is any job sites that tend to ask for money probably are not genuine. I've seen instances where even employers have pages that have been duplicated and purport to be that employer's page. Just simply pick up a phone call, go to the directory or the online and find out the contacts of that organization. Make a call to that organization and find out if they have any opportunities that they have posted on a particular site. So it's important to do that. I mean, one good place to look at is LinkedIn. LinkedIn, of course, is one of the world's largest sort of professional networks, and you can be able to get a lot from there. But locally, there are also quite a number of good websites that you can be able to get the jobs from. The other thing is talk to your networks. I always say I believe the networks are very important. The people who you interact with are able to guide you on what jobs are there. During this time of the pandemic, a lot of calls have been happening, Zoom calls within professional networks that you may belong to. I think that's an opportunity to also reach out to the people who are within those networks and listen to what it is that they are recruiting for. So the organizations that are recruiting even this time when there's a depressed economy, but I think you just need to look in the right place.
Okay. Well, and before I let you go, Mr. Osoro, can you tell us some of the mistakes that people do, maybe knowingly or unknowingly, when maybe looking for a job or even during the interview process?
Okay. That's a whole long discussion, but I'll start with the application process.
Yes.
And what mistakes I feel sometimes people make. The first thing, the first and greatest mistake that I see is applying for jobs that you do not meet the qualifications. So a lot of times we have recruiters having to deal with hundreds and hundreds of applications that do not meet the specific requirements for the job. So I think as much as possible, try and apply for jobs that do meet your specification. There's no need for someone who's coming straight out of campus applying for a director's position in an organization. I think honestly it is a waste of time, and what would happen is that you will end up stressing yourself by increasing the number of jobs that you have applied to that you will not get a response. So that's one of the things. Just try as much as possible to apply for jobs that are within your qualification range. Of course, if you meet the minimum requirements, but you don't have one of the desired requirements, please do apply. That should not stop you. But there are those that are mandatory requirements, please ensure that you meet them. Another thing that mistakes people do is selling yourself short. I started off by talking about the CV, not having your achievements on the CV and just putting role descriptions on the CV. That is one of the mistakes that people do when applying for jobs. The other thing is lying on the CV. So I've seen people who lie on the CV by indicating jobs that they have not done or working for organizations. That is something that we're keen on as HR professionals and recruiters on understanding, because you have interacted with a lot of organizations and you know what positions are in those organizations.
Yeah.
So sometimes people do lie on their CV, and that's a big, big mistake. Another mistake people do when applying for jobs is canvassing. So when a job advertisement has been put out, reaching out to people within the organization who are in charge of the process and trying to get them to give you a favorable push into the process. I think that is something that people need to avoid as much as possible. Those are the mistakes that I would say really in terms of applying. In terms of the interview, very quickly, I think one of the largest or the greatest mistakes is failing to prepare for the interview. So a lot of people walk into interviews and assume that they will be able to just sail through. So you need to prepare. What do you need to prepare? You need to prepare and understand the organization that you're going to interview for. You need to in your preparation, have sort of looked at what are your past achievements. So it's sort of prepping yourself, and take the advantage of working with people who you do, either your friends, your relatives, to sort of have a mock interview and with questions and trying to respond so that you're okay. The other mistake that I see during interviews is not answering the question that you have been asked during the interview. A lot of times candidates do come into the interview prepared to answer specific questions. So when a question is asked that's not that specific question that you have prepared for, you find candidates trying to sort of go around and answer that question that was not asked. So that's another big mistake that people do have. Another mistake during the interview is lack of confidence, where you start sounding so desperate that, if I don't get this job, my life is going to end. And, it comes off on the people who are in the interview panel. So you need to have a bit of confidence when you're interviewing, that you articulate what is required. Lastly, I think expression in terms of language. I've been in interviews where people are not able to express themselves coherently in one language. So either you come into the interview and you're not able to speak in English, or if the interview is in Kiswahili, you need to be able to express yourself coherently during the interview. And finally, there's one that I also think that should be avoided at all costs, where the candidate starts taking notes during the interview. I think it's something that it causes a bit of a distraction to the panelists, and they are wondering whether they should give you time to take notes or ask questions. So just my advice is, when anyone is going for interviews, relax, prepare well, sleep early, go there in good time so that you're not getting lost and getting late. Of course, that's one of the problems with interviews and the mistakes, coming late for the interview because you didn't do sort of a reconnaissance to understand how much time it will take you to get to the location of the interview. I could go on, and I think there's so many things.
But unfortunately, we have to end this here. But thank you so very much for the good information that you've given us today. I'm sure someone somewhere has learned a lot, myself included.
Okay, thank you very much. It was nice speaking to you, and have a lovely afternoon.
Right. Well, that has been Wycliffe Osoro, a HR consultant, and he was telling us that, the market is so wide. We just need to put our facts straight. And he also said about people lying in their CVs. That is one thing that we should be avoiding totally, to make sure that at least we get that job. This is Kevin from Manyanja Road. Thank you so much for tuning in. You're saying great music. S is saying, I believe they tell us the virus survives on a surface for hours, and we need about a month to transport the mitumbas to this place. Zikuje, nitanunua, bora I sanitize. That was on the discussion that we are having today on whether you think it's time for the government to lift the ban on the importation of mitumbas from other countries, like for example China, where COVID-19 was actually reported for the first time. Well, talking of COVID-19, The Ministry of Health has reported 497 new COVID-19 cases from 4,922 samples that were tested in the last 24 hours. The total number of cases in Kenya now stands at 10,791. Speaking during the daily update, Health CAS Dr. Mercy Mwangangi said the disease is still domiciled in the society and the communities. She raised a red flag that Nairobi was registering highest number of cases of late.
Today, 497 people have tested positive out of a sample of 4,922 samples tested within the last 24 hours. This brings our total caseload to 10,791. 318 are male and 179 are female. The youngest is a 2-year-old child, while the oldest is 89. We are delighted to inform you that today 71 people have been discharged from various hospitals, bringing the total number of recoveries to 3,017, and we thank our healthcare workers for this achievement. Regrettably, we have lost 5 more patients to the disease, bringing our total cumulative fatality to 202, and we send our heartfelt condolences to the family and friends of the bereaved. And again, we would like to reiterate that this disease does not discriminate in terms of color of your skin, status in society, membership, your affiliations in terms of religion, politics. Indeed, this disease can get each and every one of us wherever we are.
Well, we hope for the best for our country. And Penina is actually texting in on the discussion that we had with the HR consultant, and we'll make sure to send you the link of this show, Penina. And you're saying this is important information that would be so valuable to your son, who is a job seeker at this time. Lynette Pia, thank you so much. You're saying, thanks for bringing the HR expert on board. I picked up some tips. Thank you so much for tuning in today. Now let's head over to Uasin Gishu County. And just a week after the Education Cabinet Secretary, Professor George Magoha, announced the postponement of the education calendar to next year, residents of Kabogo in Uasin Gishu County have started teenage and youth sensitization and educative program for the students in that area during this COVID-19 period. This program involves members of the Nyumba Kumi initiative, religious leaders, and also educationists. The elders of this area say there is truly a need for this program now that teenage pregnancies are on the rise across the country.
Kuchangia kwingi kwa mimba za wasichana kwa sasa, kuna incest, kuna rape. Juu watoto wengi saizi wako nyumbani, so wana interact hapo nyumbani, huwezi jua ni nani. So kuna changamoto mingi nyumbani zinachangia. Programs mingi shuleni, kuna watu wengi wanapeana sanitary pads, but nyumbani hawapati. So hiyo ndio saizi lengo letu kuu ni kuwapea sanitary pads, tuone kama itasa na kuwafundisha in the process ya kuwapatia.
Tulianzia mwaka tuseme mtoto mwenye ako na miaka 13 na kuendelea mbele. Kwa sababu wenye wanatanganywa sana ni watoto wadogo ambao wako na chini ya miaka 10 kutokea 13 na kwenda juu. Hiyo mtoto achelewa kitu, anaweza danganywa tu na kangumu ama danganywa na pesa na anajingizwa kwa hiyo tabu.
So tukikuwa na mkutano kama huu ambao umepangwa, at least watapata mawaidha na wataweza kujengeka kiasi. So tunashukuru.
Some good initiative there. Alice from Machakos, you're saying, hey Sarah, I think what we are fearing is already here with us. It is a matter of controlling and taking precautions during the transportation of mitumbas. Yes, thank you so very much for tuning in. And Penina, asante sana for tuning in. Well, we'll finish this show with some good news. And for some time now, we've been having cases of shortage of beds in our health facilities. And now the Juakali sector in Kenya continues to make headlines during this time, owing to their innovations. Affordable, durable hospital beds are the latest addition here in the story of one of the artisans in the sector who hopes to capitalize on the shortage of hospital beds across the country.
Daktari alikuwa anajenga hospitali yake. Sasa yeye ndiye alinitumia hii design ya hii bed. Napata ma clients mmoja mmoja, ule anataka tu bedi yake mmoja tu. Anakukujia na kuelezea ako na baba yake ama mama yake ako na shida ya kiuno, hakuna vile anaweza mfanya hata kumtoa nje aote jua. Sasa ilifanya niingie kwa hii sekta sana, sababu mtu anakuja moja moja.
Unakuta wakati mwingine hiyo vitu inaimpatiwa kutoka nje. Hapa kwetu kuna hiyo ujuzi ya kuunda hizo vitu, kayafanya tu ni kutuprovide machineries za kufanya hizo kazi.
I remember what a friend of mine said earlier during the radio show. He said, Kenyans are very smart. We just need an opportunity and a platform to present our smartness and the skills we have. And this one is one of those sectors. The Juakali sector is making some good moves when it comes to innovating. You're saying, I really thank God for this channel. May his favor continue spreading through this channel. We love you, Family Radio. May God bless you. Thank you so very much. You did not give me your name though, but I am happy that you have tuned in today and you're so much blessed. I am blessed too. Prayer Circle is coming in next on Family TV and Family Radio with Pastor Benjamin Waka. So continue sending in your prayer requests. We already have received some of them. Do not be left out. Send in your prayer requests to the WhatsApp number 0786 316 316. SMS line 20316. From me to you, it's goodbye for now, but I will see you tomorrow. My name is Sarah Otieno.
For this and more of our shows, log on to www.familymediaonline.com to enjoy a wide variety of programs, from current affairs to testimonials and features, pastoral and inspirational shows, kids entertainment, and so much more. Also stream live on www.familymedia.tv.